Peace and blessings. It's your boy James Anthony. And as we learn together, we define limitless. I want to start off by saying this isn't financial advice, nor my financial advisor. This is just a rare opportunity that needs to be shared and highlighted far and wide because very few researchers are sharing this information. Shout out to JTXRP as well as Khaos Dubz for highlighting this incredible ecosystem. Where not only can you create daily passive income, that you can compound, but also multiple biweekly passive income streams that you can compound all while the assets don't leave your custody. Yeah, just let that sink in. Unfortunately, we are in some very dangerous times, and collectively, I'm sure you would agree, that means that it calls for some serious measures. I've only been in this ecosystem a few months, and during the conditions we've all witnessed as of late, you would think not so fruitful. But I have to be honest, it's very much the opposite. I'm just simply highlighting the facts. Patrick Riley, who's the CEO of Reaper.Financial, has a very ambitious plan and has agreed to sit and chat with me every week to go over what's been happening in real time. So without further ado, what's going on, big brother? And just take a few minutes to briefly go over what Reaper.Financial is and how it works.
Sure. So thank you, James and Chaos. So Reaper.Financial is a company with a suite of services. Our suite of services includes Reaper Token, Ascension Token, and ARC Token. Currently, Reaper and Ascension are live. We're also working on some private ledger type models for government and other institutions. So
we're also working on some private ledger type models for government and other institutions.
So RPR token is used to go out and purchase and destroy other cryptocurrencies based on the votes of RPR token holders using a working blockchain voting mechanism. We also pay passive income in XRP to the holders of RPR token.
We also pay passive income in XRP to the holders of RPR token.
And we are working on a beta release this month for debt reaping, in which the RPR token holders will be able to go out and pay towards their own debts simply by owning RPR token.
Pay towards their own debts simply by owning RPR token.
Ascension token is basically the equivalent of a decentralized mutual fund or index fund for the XRP Ledger, in which we've collected a basket of highly vetted projects, and we purchase those projects at market and distribute them to all holders of Ascension token. So simply by holding Ascension, you get a dozen different tokens airdropped to you on a regular bi-weekly basis. ARC token, we haven't yet revealed the primary functionality of it. However, the secondary functionality will also be a passive income model where we purchase with 25% of funds generated RPR at market and 25% of funds generated ASC at market. And those will be airdropped to ARC token holders. And what we've done here is essentially create a holistic ecosystem where we're going to be supporting multiple different layers and levels of individuals and businesses.
So technically, all three of these products can be leveraged not only on the XRP Ledger, but with multiple different networks as well as multiple different businesses, right?
Yes, absolutely. All of these work as a instant day one utility. So we were able to go out and buy and destroy cryptocurrency with Reaper the very first day we launched. Literally the first day we launched Ascension, we did an Ascension or the first Ascension in which we went out and purchased and distributed 8 other cryptocurrencies. And with ARC, we'll also be able to do ARC's primary function on day one as well.
Nice. In the last conversation we had, you had explained to me that with ARC, it's going to be a completely different ball game, like new socials, new utility, new community. Is there anything more that you can give us, a little bit more insight on that, or?
Yeah, so the Reaper and Ascension tokens are kind of the two sides to one coin because they work in unison and complement one another, whereas ARC is going to pay out in Reaper and Ascension. However, it's going to do a totally different primary function. That primary function is going to be a area in business that is very neglected, and there's not a good way of doing it right now in the world. So we're going to be providing a service to a certain type of business that really needs a blockchain solution.
That is awesome. Are there any other networks attempting to create something in this space?
So there's nothing with a similar model. There are some others working in this space, but they work purely on a donation basis without an incentive. So they really, they attempt to do it, but they don't work the same way.
No doubt.
I find a lot of projects are trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist. And I find myself asking, like, what is the point of this whole thing?
Yeah.
I want to just touch on, you guys released a Reaper bulletin. I think that was today. And it looks like we have kind of a timeline on what's happening with debt reaping. So it looks like we got the user interface complete, the user experience complete, Zum integration is complete, link to token is complete, and it looks like customer onboarding is complete. There's a few that are pending completion, but what I'm interested to talk about is the vendor delays on KYC and the fiat on-ramps.
So initially we were trying to use a couple different vendors for KYC, and the KYC vendor was going to be different from our banking backend integration tool. And the reason for that would have been basically redundancy of systems. However, the KYC we were going after was insufficient. It wouldn't have worked in multiple different countries that we're looking to grow into. So we've kind of pulled back, and now we're going to be using the same KYC software as the banking backend until we find a better third-party KYC vendor. And then with that, it also delayed pairing those accounts directly to the wallet address. We just need that KYC in between, so it's not really a big delay. It's just something we have to do in a order of precedence. And then there was one more that we're delayed on. I forget.
That would be the access token saved to customer ID.
Yeah, so that's given that the KYC is already done, we can complete that.
I have somebody in my group, shout out to Brent. He asked me specifically, I think he's in the UK, it may be Australia. I know debt reaping is going to launch in the United States first, but his question was, will he be able to pull in multiple liabilities and then kind of allocate? Is it going to be like he chooses how much to allocate to each one as far as his holdings go?
That's correct. So it'll be an allocation by percentage of holdings, not by number of tokens. So the reason we do that is you can allocate 30%, 50%, and 20%. And then if you purchase or sell Reaper, then it's still going to be by percentage of what your allocation is going towards those debts. And you don't have to ever go back in and change your vote until you're ready to do so. So basically your vote's going to work in perpetuity, and whatever your last standing vote is, that will stand until you change it.
And is there going to be a limit per consumer, how many liabilities initially they'll be able to pull in? Or is it going to be like, hey, listen, I got 7 things I need to get taken care of?
Seven would probably be fine. That's a good question. I actually haven't thought about how many we would be limited to by the technology. I don't imagine there's too many people out there with 100 different loans, but that may be relevant to business. So yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, he brought it up to me this morning. In fact, he's been helping out in my group, and he's been in the Telegram with you guys as well. He's like, listen, I'm going to a party tonight. Give me some pointers. What should I tell people? Because I want it. So what I did was I clipped our first interview of exactly, you explaining Reaper, and I said, share this with whoever you want, because this explains, to a T. Dale put this question in the group. I don't know if you answered it, but I'm going to put the question to you again right now. He says, XLS 30 will allow you to be your own market maker from what I can gather. Is that a good thing, or does it complicate things for coins on the XRP ledger? And two, will XLS 30 pass? And in your opinion, is Ripple doing a service for those on the ledger? Will we be able to use a single-sided RPR, ASC, and ARC liquidity pool in the process?
So the market makers that we currently think of that are offered by exchanges are a bad thing. I'll start there. So what they essentially do is they purchase as the price is going down, and as the price is going up, they sell into the market. And so usually those exchanges will charge the project for using a market maker, and all they're actually doing is faking volume to make the exchange itself look more legitimate, while also hurting the consumer and the project. So market makers are generally a bad thing. So XLS 30 is going to be providing something similar, but I think that market maker may be kind of a misnomer in this case. It's going to be more of a liquidity pool in which you'll be able to sell XRPL tokens and have some liquidity back in that in the form of XRP to make those movements. So that's a little bit different than a automated market maker just to fake volume. I don't think that XRP, and I hope I'm not mistaken in this, I don't think that XRPL Services is building out something simply to fake volume for XRP.
No doubt. I would agree about that. James from Schmeckles had made a comment on Twitter. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of similar to what you just said. He said something like,
I'll try and pull it up here.
Yeah, see if you can. He said something about the automated market maker that he thought it is very different from what this actually is, and that this is going to be something pretty mind-blowing considering.
Yeah. Now, if it's essentially a liquidity pool, that's definitely a good thing. So that's going to make the flow and the speed of the DEX much more liquid and much friendlier as far as trading, buying, selling. Where if you go on XM right now, most tokens you don't have the ability to actually trade directly through XM, because the gap of price buy orders to sell orders is greater than 2 to 5% or whatever it's set at. So this would essentially solve that issue, but I don't think it's the market maker that we generally talk about as far as devs. So I think the community and the devs are on two different pages when it comes to what a market maker is.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a very novel way. So I don't even think it should be called an automated market maker, because it's very different than what a traditional automated market maker is. He also said, do you think it would complicate things for coins on the XRP ledger?
I don't think it necessarily would complicate anything. I don't see it being an issue as long as it's not something where we have to babysit it. If it's automated into the code, then it's probably going to go largely unnoticed for the average user.
Okay. And then he said, will we be able to use single-sided RPR, ASC, and ARK liquidity pools?
So I don't know about the consumer being able to use those. So we are building out the River Sticks,
right.
Starting probably in January here. We'll start going heavy into building out River Sticks, a DEX that's basically going to be a different way to do a DEX, and it's going to be a better way than pretty much every centralized exchange out there. So with that, we'll have liquidity pools, and those liquidity pools will basically bear interest, and that will be a way for us to use the permanent drip fund to generate interest in a decentralized manner without putting it at a higher risk.
You dropped a tweet this morning. Somebody was referencing all the reserves of all these different exchanges, and you were like, our decentralized exchange, RiverSticks, will be very different because we won't be holding anybody's funds, nor do we have to hold anyone's funds. So we won't need to produce any kind of proof of reserves. It's going to be a very different way to DEX. So yeah, let's talk about block a little bit. I know that's coming up. I'm sure you guys have had to do a lot of preparation to finally get this thing situated. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's really been a beast. So the block is a culmination right now of about 10 months of work between about a dozen different projects over time. And really what we've done is essentially we've authored a constitution, a bill of rights of what blockchain companies owe to the consumer. And we're holding that as a standard that all block projects will be adhering to that, as well as the bylaws, code of conduct, the values of the organization, and all block projects go through a full audit and onboarding process. And with that, basically, we're improving the quality of the XRP Ledger and of blockchain in general by creating a decentralized regulatory authority that is not a government organization, it's an NGO. So effectively, we've created a decentralized best practice BBB, Better Business Bureau type organization for blockchain that is going to give consumers an ability to, rate and judge a new project against this criteria. And one of the things we'll be putting out there tomorrow is there'll basically be a bug bounty program. And that bug bounty program is going to be, if you can find us a project that has rugged that would have passed our standards, then you will receive a bounty because you will have told us how to improve those standards.
Wow, that is awesome. What's the community sentiment? I'm sure you've had to knock on a few doors and kind of stake your claim.
The reception has been very positive from the good actors and very negative from the negative actors. There's been some bad projects out there that the second we mention block, they start worrying about gatekeeping and that we're the cop on the block and that kind of thing to police them. And we're not forcing anyone to be compliant with block. We're just going to tell everyone that if they're not compliant with block, there's probably a problem that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of time. We were having a conversation about this the other day. It's going to be a matter of time before it becomes very evident to everybody who's involved in this space that if you don't check the block oversight box, I mean, it'll be a matter of time before your project fizzles out because there's something going on there. So what does the launch technically look like for block?
So for the launch, we'll have all of the primary founders there to speak about it. We're going to introduce ourselves and our roles in the organization, as well as introduce the website, go through the constitution in a community conversation type of manner about what the different parts of the constitution are and what those really mean to everybody out there. Will reference the bylaws and the code of conduct and state our values. And then we'll be opening it up to community participation and kind of an AMA to let people give feedback on what it is we're doing and ask some questions.
How do we find it? How do people who are maybe not part of the Reaper ecosystem easily come across this launch tomorrow?
So it's going to be hosted from the Block and JT XRP's Twitter, and YouTube will be doing it through StreamYard, and it will also be shared out by all Block members participating. So that'll be Reaper, Treasury, Zoj, Schmeckles, JT XRP, Additions, Astrals. I think I may be forgetting one. I apologize, whoever that is off the top of my head.
Can you give us anything more about the ARC distribution? There's been conversations back and forth. I know that you guys have the tool and you're basically gonna use the tool to see if anything comes back blacklisted, and then you're going to produce a list. Will you do that prior so that if there's any issues, people can fix whatever's going on?
One of the biggest problems for the devs, right, of any project is that you're trying to essentially herd cats. You've got, 40,000 trust lines in our case. It will be 60,000 at launch for ARC, and 24,000 roughly, give or take, will be Reaper holders, and another 8,000 will be Ascension holders, and then we'll have that difference out there, right? So if we allow people to kind of have that recourse to raise alibis, generally that's going to create a lot of response from essentially the scammers that are trying to get by the system. Sure. So we're not setting any price on ARC. It is purely market priced. So we do not control or dictate that whatsoever. It's simply a free airdrop. And whatever its value is what people determine it's worth, right? So we're going to, give 1,000 to everybody holding more than 500 RPR, 1,000 everyone holding more than 500 ASC, and 1,000 everyone simply holding an ARC trust line. So we estimate that will be about 80 million ARC tokens dropped. It may be more, it may be less. And then if they did come up as basically banned by the tool, which is going to look at the number of children wallets and how many trust lines for ARC were set by those children wallets, there'll be no sympathy.
Sanctuary for Elijah down at the brook, and there allowed him to lay in the cool shade and drink from the brook of the cool running water.
Somehow we have to protect people from themselves.
I think that's I actually agree with you on that.
I think that's
I think that's a dangerous thing, and it's what creates very large sort of socialistic governments.